a little innocent boy called Oswald Cobblepot, heavily bullied by his classmates, siblings, even his own father. He was obese, short, and had a long beak-like nose that made them call him Penguin. Growing up, the only one who ever gave him attention was his mother. All of the attention that must have been given to him by a lot of people was given to him by only one person, and that ended up as a sick, uncanny relationship with his mother. Well, from all the things he could have done, he chose the most Gotham decision he could make, becoming the villain they tried so hard to make, Penguin. Welcome to Cinema Enigma. As you already know, the episode is about Penguin and the new show that is being released. Of course, don't forget to subscribe and let's talk about Penguin. He kept the name Penguin, and you might ask, if he hated that name so much, why did he keep it? Well, he buys the respect he gets, and that's his kind of thing. So he kept the name, so if ever someone was able to fool him, he would snap out of it by hearing them call him Penguin. So he can always remember it doesn't matter how they treat him now, they're always the same bullies from his childhood. Before everything, let me give you an example of how sick he could be. That day, he was looking around the black market of Gotham when he came around a cage filled with women who were abused and was waiting to be sold in a horrible situation. He sees one of these girls and buys her to take her home, Violet. She is unconscious, and when she wakes up, she finds herself out of that cage and in a fancy house with Oz. So she convinces herself that he is her savior, the white knight who took her out of that hell house. She throws herself in his arms, hugs him and thanks him, and that was enough for him to become obsessed. She changes his life. He finally can have the attention and love he was desperately looking for. Everything's changed. He can be Oswald and not Penguin for once. He doesn't feel like committing crime anymore, and he is finding peace at last. One night, when they are dining in a restaurant, he is talking sweet talk in her ears, how she changed his life and is the best thing that ever happened to him. He was finally there. He was feeling healed. He was feeling loved at last. It looked like he was in heaven. It was perfect. She was perfect. And exactly at that moment, he locked eyes with the chef and he smirked at him. And that was enough for him to lose everything he finally had. He sits there. He doesn't even budge. But days later, the restaurant was closed for good. Chef's girlfriend gets deported and goes back to Romania. His best friend gets arrested for an ugly, horrible crime and goes to jail. His neighbor suddenly moves out, and the new neighbor listens to thrash metal on max volume dusk till dawn. The church he goes to gets shut down for renovation, and the park he goes to for a walk gets ruined. Chef had a big drinking problem, so he is so surprised to see the gigantic liquor store in front of his house. In less than a couple of months after locking eyes with Penguin for only seconds, his body is found in the restroom of a metro station due to suicide. One day, Violet catches him smirking at a newspaper with a picture of the chef of the restaurant they dined at a couple weeks ago. He trims up the pictures and put it in an album, and she sees all that. She waits until he is gone, then she sneaks in his room and goes through the album. And imagine her surprise when she sees an album full of Penguin's victims. The man she thought was a hero. She cannot believe her eyes. The man she loved, the best man she knew, is a monster. He kills and tortures and takes advantage of people. And she thought he was an angel all along. That was it. She wanted to go away. She didn't want to be with that monster anymore. And Penguin listens to her words, her desire to going away. And now we see him telling her he is sorry and he wishes that it wasn't like this, that he would fix everything if he could. He is saying that he knows they can get through this. They have a strong relationship. Nothing can ruin that. She is going to be mad at him for a couple of days, and then she forgives him because that is love. He is saying all of these things, but with one difference. Now she is in the same cage she was from the start, prisoned by him because he loved her. I think that would give you enough context of what a sick-minded, obsessed creep he is. And that makes him the perfect villain. He's not some sexy bad boy that has a great characteristic. He is the absolute definition of an unhinged creep. Nothing, absolutely nothing can stop him. He is capable of anything. When you think you have seen it all and finally understand that how unhinged he could get, he comes up with something new to surprise you. I love him as a villain. For me, he represents the perfect villain. He goes deeper and deeper in becoming the worst being ever existed. And if you know Gotham City, you know that being known for getting more evil is not something you can take easily. We've seen Oswald Cobblepot as a sidekick in The Batman, but this series is the perfect chance to really flesh out his character. It could dig deeper into how he started out, his rough upbringing, and how he learned to survive on the streets of Gotham. There's a ton of potential for flashbacks to his early days, showing how his cunning ruthlessness and sharp survival instincts developed. It's like watching The Godfather in a Gotham setting, where we follow him from small-time crook to a major player. The comics were always very dark and perfect, and of course, he was mostly under Batman's shadow. But even though it was like this, I always enjoyed reading comics where he was the villain. And when they announced that there's going to be a show for Penguin, I was very excited, and yet I doubted if they could pull it off. Well, finally the pilot of the show came out, and really it was everything I wanted it to be. It was a perfect first episode, it was what a pilot episode should be and more. It is so well written, I can't get over it. And it felt even better because I didn't expect it to be good. They were able to show and establish the comics atmosphere and Penguin's character so successfully in just one episode. I can surely say it was very close to the Penguin we have in the comics, and I love that. It is a spin-off from The Batman, and it starts from after all the things happened in the movie. And now the city, especially the underprivileged parts, are turned to ruins due to the death of Falcone and the flood Riddler caused. And things are changing so radically that the characters are having a hard time catching up with all the things that are happening. Let me tell you, the last couple of years were the worst years for sequels or spin-offs. I was absolutely sure that it was going to be the same, but I went and watched it and I absolutely loved it. As someone who was always interested in Penguin and took him as one of the best villains ever, I think they did everything they had to do. Penguin's character is shown perfectly. We can see his brutal, cruel nature and the desire to buy himself respect. Although I'm not sure if I like to see the weird relationship between him and his mom, but I think the fundamental is there. The series is likely about the transformation of Oswald Cobblepot into the Penguin we have in the comic. And also, I heard a lot of people saying the show is making Gotham City a character, and I love it. It is absolutely true. It almost looks like the city is a living being. Gotham is dark, corrupt, and always on the edge of chaos, which plays perfectly into Cobblepot's rise. The streets of Gotham, those grimy alleys, shady nightclubs, and crumbling buildings are where Oswald thrives. The series is bound to continue that gritty noir vibe from The Batman with loads of tension and shady backroom deals. And I just know that no one could see Colin Farrell under that character. And isn't that amazing? I always loved him and he just keeps proving he's worthy of all the attention. Colin Farrell's transformation into the Penguin in The Batman was a standout. And the series gives him room to really expand on that performance. His version of Oswald is cunning but not flashy. He's got this underdog energy, always trying to prove himself. In the series, we'll get to see him go from Falcone's right-hand man to the guy calling the shots. Farrell will probably take us through every stage of this transformation, showing how Oswald becomes the ruthless crime lord we all know. What makes Penguin such a fascinating character is that he's not your typical physically intimidating villain. He's got to rely on his wit, manipulation, and intimidation tactics rather than brute strength. This gives the series an opportunity to explore the mental and psychological aspects of his character. Maybe Oswald starts off being somewhat insecure and unsure of his ability to rule, and over time he becomes more confident and ruthless, transforming into a terrifying figure. The psychological pressure of being a crime boss, paranoia, trust issues, fear of betrayal could give the show a darker, more personal edge. There might even be a Joker-esque descent into madness as he tightens his grip on power. Villains who start as underdogs and rise to power are always fun to watch. That's what makes his journey so satisfying. We love rooting for characters who have to use their wits to survive and outsmart their rivals. Oswald is constantly underestimated because of his appearance, and it's thrilling to see him prove everyone wrong as he climbs the ladder in Gotham's criminal world. We'll probably find ourselves cheering for him, even as we know he's becoming more ruthless and dangerous. This kind of complex character arc is what makes villains like him fascinating to watch. The Penguin is not just a superhero show, it's a full-on crime drama, but with the added twist of being set in Gotham's dark, corrupt world. It'll focus on the power struggles, betrayals, and backroom deals that come with running a criminal empire. But because it's Gotham, there's also the added layer of the city's own unique brand of corruption, as well as the looming threat of Batman and other vigilantes. This blend of classic mob drama and comic book elements makes for a fresh and exciting take on both genres. At its core, The Penguin is a much psychological drama as it is a crime story. We'll be diving into Oswald's mind, exploring his insecurities, ambitions, and internal struggles as he rises to power. What drives a man like him? How does his need for respect and power affect his relationship and his decision-making? As Oswald becomes more ruthless, we'll see the toll it takes on him mentally. The show will likely explore the paranoia, stress, and moral decay that come with being at the top of the criminal food chain. Watching Oswald grapple with the consequences of his ambition adds a layer of depth and emotional complexity to the series. In a world full of superhero shows, The Penguin stands out because it's told from the villain's point of view. It's rare to get a show that focuses on the rise of a supervillain, and even more rare to see it done in such a grounded, realistic way. This isn't a show about flashy costumes and superpowers. It's about a man who uses his wits, ambition, and ruthlessness to crave out a place for himself in a corrupt city. The focus on Oswald's criminal empire and his journey to becoming a feared crime lord makes it a fresh take on the comic book genre, and it offers something darker and more mature for viewers who are craving something different. I highly recommend you go and watch the show. It is a really fun show, and I'm sure you won't regret watching it. Go and see the dark world of DC and the scary city of Gotham. I know Penguin is an absolute dark villain, but I just know that you would find an interest in him. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you liked it, make sure to hit the like button and please share your thoughts and ideas in the comment section. And of course, don't forget to subscribe to support our channel.